almost signed without understanding Arabic. Until the gardener's son saved the company, Thomas Mitchell was about to sign the document that could save his company from bankruptcy when a child's voice shouted from the hallway. His hands trembled over the golden pen, as sweat dripped down his forehead, even with the air conditioning running in the office. That's when he heard the boy's clear voice speaking in Arabic. Tyler, just 11 years old, the son of Michael, the company's gardener, had grown up playing in the halls of the Mitchell & Sons furniture factory, while his father tended to the indoor gardens. "Mr. Thomas, you can't sign that," Tyler shouted, running down the marble hallway. The 52-year-old businessman raised his eyes from the document, written entirely in Arabic script. Sitting across from him, posture impeccable, was Karim Al-Sayed, the international investor who had promised to save his company from financial ruin. "Who is this child?" Karim asked, adjusting his spotless white robe. "He's our gardener's son," Thomas replied, embarrassed. "Tyler, what are you doing here? Isn't your father working today?" The boy stopped at the office door, panting. His brown eyes shone with worry as he looked back and forth between Thomas and Karim. "My dad's watering the plants in the courtyard, but I heard you talking and... Mr. Thomas, this paper you're about to sign isn't what they said it is." Karim abruptly stood from the leather chair, his expression shifting completely. The cordial smile he'd maintained for the past 2 hours vanished. "This child knows nothing about business. I suggest you take him somewhere else to play," Karim said, his voice now colder. Thomas hesitated. Tyler had always been a special child. From a young age, he'd shown an incredible knack for languages. He'd learned Arabic from his grandmother, Amira, who had immigrated from Lebanon in her youth and lived with Michael's family. "Tyler, what did you hear?" Thomas asked, setting the pen down on the desk. "Grandma Amira taught me Arabic when I was little, Mr. Thomas. This contract, it's not about investing in the company. There are things written about transferring full ownership and..." The boy paused, searching for the right words, "about using the company for other things." Dr. Richard Wilson, Thomas's lawyer, adjusted his glasses nervously. He had assured Thomas the document was correct, based on the translation provided by Karim himself. "Thomas, we need to be practical. The company has $2 million in debt. Without this investment, you'll have to close the doors next week," Dr. Wilson said. "But doctor," Tyler interrupted, "did you actually read the contract in Arabic or did someone translate it for you?" Dr. Wilson turned red. 30 years in law, and he'd never felt so humiliated by a child. "A translator gave me a summary of the main points," he admitted. "Which translator?" Thomas asked, now fully alert. "Jamal, my personal assistant," Karim replied quickly. "He has a degree in international law and speaks perfect Portuguese." Tyler shook his head. "Mr. Thomas, on page 3 of the contract, it says that after signing, full ownership of the factory, including the land, the machines, and even your house, will be transferred to his name," he said, pointing at Karim. "And on page 5, there's a part that says the factory will be used to clean something. I didn't quite understand that part." Silence filled the office. Thomas felt his heart race. His house? How was his house part of a business contract? "Karim, is this true?" Thomas asked, his voice deeper than usual. "This child is making up stories. How could a street kid understand international contracts?" Karim snapped, clearly irritated. "Tyler is not some street kid." Thomas Mitchell stood up, feeling anger rising in his chest. "He attends the private school in town and has always been one of the top students. If he says he understands Arabic, I believe him." At that moment, Michael appeared at the door, his hands still dirty from the soil of the pots he'd been tending. "I'm sorry, Mr. Mitchell. Tyler ran off early this morning." "I don't know how he found out you had a meeting today," Michael said, visibly embarrassed. "Dad, Mr. Mitchell almost signed a paper that would make him lose everything," Tyler said, running to hug his father. Michael, a simple man of 45, looked at his son and then at Thomas. He'd worked at the company for 15 years and knew his boss to be an honest and fair man. "Tyler has always been sharp with languages, Mr. Mitchell. At home he helps translate letters from our family still living in Lebanon," Michael said. "This is ridiculous," Karim snapped. "You're going to cancel a $5 million deal over a child's fantasies." Thomas sat back down. $5 million was exactly what he needed to pay off debts and modernize the factory. But something about Karim's reaction unsettled him deeply. "Tyler, can you read some parts of the contract for us?" Thomas asked. The boy stepped toward the table. Karim tried to grab the document, but Thomas was faster. "Please, Karim, if everything is as correct as you say, there's no issue," Thomas said, handing the contract to Tyler. The boy began reading quietly, translating word for word. As he spoke, Thomas's face grew paler. "Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now, back to the story." On the first page it says, "The undersigned Thomas Mitchell transfers full ownership of all personal and business assets to the contractor Karim Al-Sayed," Tyler translated, his childlike voice clashing with the gravity of the words. Dr. Richard Wilson tore off his glasses. "Roff. Thomas, this can't be right. Jamal told me this was just an investment contract with a 40% stake," the lawyer said, visibly shaken. "Keep reading, Tyler," Thomas urged, feeling the world spin around him. "The second page has a part about—" "Wait," Tyler paused to find the right translation. "About using the factory to clean money of unknown origin. Grandma Amira always told me that phrase means making dirty money look clean." Karim abruptly stood up. "Enough. I won't sit here listening to a spoiled child's nonsense," he said, reaching for the contract. "Sit down," Thomas said in a tone no one had heard before, one he reserved for extreme situations. "Tyler, continue." The boy flipped through the pages, his eyes quickly scanning the Arabic script. "There's a part here that says once you sign, you'll have to work as an employee in your own factory, earning only a small wage. And if you try to break the contract, you'll have to pay a fine of—" Tyler did the math in his head. "About $100 million. Michael gripped his son's shoulder, proud but worried about the situation. "There's one more thing, Dad," Tyler looked at Michael. "There's a whole page about how Mr. Mitchell's entire family will have to leave their home in 30 days because the house will also belong to the Arabic man." Thomas felt his legs weaken. His house, the home he'd shared with Sarah, his wife, whom he'd lost 2 years ago. The house where his daughters Emily and Jessica had grown up. "Karim, explain this now," Thomas demanded. "I don't owe anyone an explanation, especially for those who doubt a serious investor because of a child." Karim stored his documents in the leather folder. "You just missed the opportunity of a lifetime." "Wait," said Tyler. "There's one more thing. On the last page, it says the name of the translator who'll receive a commission, Jamal Al-Sayed. That's your brother, isn't it?" Karim stopped at the door, fists clenched. "How do you know that?" "Because at the beginning of the contract it states that Jamal Al-Sayed is the contractor's brother and will receive 5% of everything processed through the company," Tyler replied calmly. Dr. Richard Wilson tossed his glasses onto the table. "Thomas, I was deceived. Jamal introduced himself as an independent translator. He never mentioned being related to Karim," said the lawyer, running his hands through his graying hair. Thomas looked at Karim, who could no longer maintain his facade as a respectable businessman. "Get out of my company. Now," Thomas said, pointing to the door. "You'll regret this. Without my investment, this mediocre factory will shut down in a week," Karim shouted before slamming the door on his way out. Silence filled the office. Thomas sank heavily into his chair, covering his face with his hands. "Mr. Thomas," Tyler said timidly, "I'm sorry for disrupting the meeting." Thomas looked at the boy. At that moment, he saw not just the gardener's son, but a guardian angel who had saved not only his company, but his entire life. "Tyler, you didn't disrupt anything. You saved me," Thomas said, his eyes moist. Michael approached, still holding his dirt-stained hands. "Mr. Thomas, if you need us to leave because of what happened—" "Michael, are you crazy?" Thomas stood and hugged the gardener, not caring about the dirt on his clothes. "You just saved everything I've built over 30 years. Dr. Wilson was still in shock. "Thomas, you must forgive me. I was negligent. I should have gotten a second opinion on the contract," the lawyer said. "Dr. Wilson, we were all deceived. What matters is, We found out in time, Thomas replied. Tyler tugged at Thomas's jacket sleeve. Mr. Thomas, there's one more thing. Yesterday, when I brought my dad his lunch, I overheard that man talking on the phone in the garden. He was speaking in Arabic about the foolish American and another company conquered. Thomas felt anger rising again. Are you sure, Tyler? Yes. He also said that after taking over your company, he'd use it to bring special merchandise from overseas, Tyler answered. Michael shook his head, worried. Mr. Thomas, my mother always told me that when someone tries to deceive others, they always slip up at some point, Michael said. Thomas paced the office, processing everything he'd learned. Dr. Wilson, cancel all the documents we signed with Jamal, anything related to this deal. I'm already on it, the lawyer said, typing on his phone. Tyler approached again. Mr. Thomas, can I ask you something? Of course, Tyler. Why did you want to sell the company? My dad always says you love this place. Thomas sighed deeply. It was a question that deserved an honest answer. Sit here, Tyler. Thomas pulled up a chair. After Sarah passed, I sort of lost my will to work. Sales dropped, I made some bad investments, and now the company owes a lot of money. But you can't give up, Tyler said with the sincerity only children possess. My dad always talks about how you gave him a chance when no one else would, and how many families work here at the factory. Michael smiled proudly at his son. Tyler's right, Mr. Thomas. 50 families depend on this company. There must be a way to solve this without selling everything. Dr. Richard Wilson put away his phone. Thomas, I cancelled everything with Jamal, but you need to tell me the truth about the company's real financial situation. Thomas opened his computer and showed the spreadsheets to the lawyer. $2,300,000 in debt. Sales have dropped 70% over the last 2 years. I have enough cash for 3 more weeks of payroll. Tyler listened carefully, even though he didn't fully understand the numbers. Mr. Thomas, what did the company make that used to sell well? Office furniture, Tyler. Desks, bookshelves, chairs. We had contracts with several businesses in the area. And why did it stop selling? Thomas thought about the boy's simple question. Because companies started buying cheaper furniture from other places. Our furniture is better, more durable, but it costs more. So people don't know your furniture is better? Tyler asked. The question struck Thomas like lightning. That was exactly it. He had stopped showing people the superior quality of his products. Tyler's right, said Dr. Wilson. You stopped marketing, stopped visiting clients. You isolated yourself after Sarah passed. Michael, who had known Thomas for years, agreed. Mr. Thomas, I remember when you used to visit businesses, show them how our furniture was made, explain the special wood we use. People were impressed. Thomas felt something he hadn't in a long time. Hope. But even if I start selling again, the debts are still there. And I don't have money for marketing or to modernize the factory. Tyler raised his hand as if he were in school. Can I give an idea? Of course, Tyler. What if instead of selling the whole company, you sold just a small part to someone you trust? Someone who understands furniture and wants to help, not cheat. Dr. Wilson clapped. Tyler, you just gave us the solution. Thomas, why don't we look for local investors? People who know your work and want an honest partnership? Thomas began to see possibilities where before he only saw problems. You're right. I know some business owners in the area who've always praised our furniture. And there's one more thing, Tyler continued. My grandma Amira always says that in Lebanon, furniture was made to last generations. If you showed people your furniture is like that, they'd want to pay more. Michael hugged his son. Where do you get these ideas, kid? From Grandma Amira and the stories Mr. Thomas tells when he comes to talk with Dad in the garden, Tyler replied, smiling. Thomas realized that over the last 2 years, his conversations with Michael in the garden were the only times he still spoke passionately about furniture and the company. Dr. Wilson, here's what we'll do, Thomas said, now with renewed energy. First, we'll look for honest local investors. Second, we'll create a plan to showcase the quality of our furniture. Third, we'll restructure the debts realistically. The lawyer wrote everything down. And most importantly, Thomas continued, We'll do this with complete transparency. No contracts in languages we don't understand. Tyler raised his hand again. Mr. Thomas, if you need help with translations, I can help. Grandma Amira taught me Arabic, German, and a little Spanish. Thomas smiled for the first time in months. Tyler, would you like to be my official language consultant? Can I? The boy's eyes sparkled. Of course you can, but on one condition. You have to keep studying hard in school. Absolutely, Mr. Thomas. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now, continuing. In the following days, Thomas began putting the plan into action. The first visit was to Robert Johnson, owner of an accounting firm network and a longtime client of the company. Thomas, so good to see you. Robert hugged his friend. I heard you were going through some tough times. Robert, I need to be honest with you. The company is in crisis, but I've realized the problem isn't the quality of the furniture. It's how I've been selling it. Thomas shared the whole story of the fraudulent contract and how Tyler had saved the company. Incredible. That boy is a hero, Robert said. Thomas, your furniture has always been the best in the region. All my offices have had Mitchell & Sons furniture for 15 years, and they still look brand new. That's exactly what I need to show others, Thomas replied. Count me in. I can invest $300,000 to start, and I have contacts who might be interested, Robert offered. The second visit was to Jennifer Parker, an architect who always specified the company's furniture in her projects. Thomas, I was worried about you. It's been months since you've shared any updates, Jennifer said. Jennifer, I almost lost everything because of pride and grief, but now I'm coming back stronger than ever. Thomas showed Jennifer some new designs he had developed, inspired by his conversations with Tyler about furniture that lasts generations. These designs are wonderful. They have personality, quality. They're unique, Jennifer said excitedly. Thomas, can I be your marketing partner? I have many clients looking for distinctive furniture. Would you accept a profit share instead of a fixed salary? Absolutely. I believe in your work. The third visit was the hardest. Thomas went to the bank to discuss his debts with the manager. Mr. Mitchell, your situation is complicated, but if you can prove you have a viable plan and some investors, we can renegotiate the terms, the manager said. Thomas presented the commitments from Robert and Jennifer, along with the marketing plan they had developed. It's an interesting plan. I'll present it to the board. Meanwhile, at the company, Tyler was helping Michael in the gardens, but always stopped by the office to check on the preparations. Mr. Mitchell, my grandma Amira wanted to meet you, Tyler said one afternoon. Of course, Tyler. I'd love to meet the person who taught you Arabic so well. The next day, Tyler arrived with a kind-eyed, white-haired woman. Mr. Mitchell, this is my grandma Amira. It's a pleasure, Mrs. Amira. Tyler told me you're from Lebanon. I came to America 50 years ago, Mr. Mitchell. Tyler told me you were almost tricked by a fellow countryman of mine, Mrs. Amira said, her Portuguese thick with an accent. Unfortunately, Mrs. Amira. But thanks to Tyler, we found out in time. Tyler is special. Since he was little, he's had a gift for languages and a strong intuition about people, his grandmother said proudly. Mrs. Amira, may I ask you something? Tyler mentioned that in Lebanon, furniture was made to last generations. Mrs. Amira's eyes lit up. Oh, Mr. Mitchell, my family's furniture. My grandfather was a carpenter in Beirut. Every piece he made was like a work of art. He used to say that well-crafted furniture carries a family's history. Thomas listened, fascinated. And how did he make furniture so durable? First, he chose the right wood. Then, every joint was made by hand, with love and patience. And finally, he always left a secret mark on each piece like a signature. Tyler interrupted excitedly. Grandma, Mr. Mitchell could do that too. Leave a special mark on his furniture. Thomas had an idea. Mrs. Amira, would you teach me some traditional Lebanese techniques? I can pay for the lessons. Oh, Mr. Mitchell, I'll teach you for free. I'm happy to see someone who loves furniture as much as my grandfather did. And so began an unexpected partnership. Every Tuesday and Thursday, Mrs. Amira would go to the factory to teach traditional Lebanese woodworking techniques. The employees, initially curious, soon became engaged in the lessons. Thomas realized his workers had far more knowledge and creativity than he'd imagined. "Mr. Thomas," said Frank, the most experienced carpenter, "I've always wanted to suggest some improvements, but I never thought I'd be heard. From now on, Frank, I want to hear every idea. You know these pieces better than anyone." 3 weeks later, Thomas got a call from Robert. "Thomas, I have good news. I secured 2 more investors, Amanda Clark and Daniel Thompson. Together we can invest $800,000. "Robert, that's wonderful. And there's more. Jennifer got us 3 big contracts, 2 new offices and a company that wants to modernize all their furniture." Thomas felt things were finally falling into place. That afternoon, he called all the employees for a meeting in the factory yard. "Everyone, I want to share what's happening," Thomas began, looking at 50 eager faces. He told the whole story, from the fraudulent contract to the new partnerships forming. "Thanks to Tyler, we almost lost everything, but we also discovered something priceless. Your knowledge, the quality of our work, and the community's support." The employees clapped, moved. "From now on, we'll work together differently. I want to hear everyone's ideas, implement the techniques Mrs. Amira is teaching, and show all of America the quality of Mitchell and Sons." Tyler, sitting beside his father, raised his hand. "Mr. Thomas, can I say something?" "Of course, Tyler. My grandma always says when people work together with their hearts, they can make miracles happen. I think that's what's going on here." A worker shouted from the back, "Tyler for president!" Everyone laughed and applauded the boy, who turned red with embarrassment. Thomas continued, "We'll create a special furniture line called Heritage. Each piece will have the secret mark Mrs. Amira taught us, ensuring it's built to last generations." "And who'll be responsible for checking the quality?" asked Jennifer, who had arrived for the meeting. Thomas looked at Tyler and smiled. "Our official quality consultant will be Tyler. He'll inspect every piece before it leaves the factory." "Me?" Tyler's eyes widened. "You saved the company, Tyler. Now you'll help keep it special." Michael beamed with pride. "Tyler, what a responsibility," his father said. "Can I make suggestions too?" asked Tyler. "Of course. What if we made special furniture for schools, desks that last for years so kids won't break them?" Jennifer clapped. "Tyler, that's a fantastic idea. There are school furniture bids every year." Thomas saw the boy had a unique vision for the business. "Tyler, from now on, you'll have a weekly meeting with me to discuss ideas. How about every Friday after school? Can I bring Grandma Amira sometimes? Of course you can." Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, please like and subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now, continuing. A month later, the first Heritage furniture line was ready. Thomas organized a special presentation for investors and potential clients. The showroom was set up in the factory yard, with Michael's gardens as the natural backdrop. "Mrs. Amira," said Thomas, "I'd like you to present the inspiration behind these pieces." The elegant Lebanese woman, dressed in her finest gown, addressed the guests. "My dears, when I arrived in America 50 years ago, I brought with me only the memories of my family's furniture. Today, I see those memories reborn in your skilled hands." She showed a special writing desk with mother-of-pearl details and a secret drawer. "This desk bears our family's mark." Mrs. Amira pointed to a small symbol carved on the side. "It's a promise that it will last for generations." Robert, who had invested in the company, was impressed. "Thomas, this isn't just furniture, it's functional art." Amanda Clark, the new investor, touched the wood in admiration. "The texture is completely different from anything I've ever seen. How do you achieve this finish?" Frank, the carpenter, stepped forward proudly. "Mrs. Amanda, we use techniques Mrs. Amira brought from Lebanon, combined with special American woods. Each piece takes 3 times longer to complete, but the result is worth it." Tyler moved among the guests, explaining technical details with impressive ease for his age. "This chair here was specially made for people who work long hours," Tyler explained to a businessman. "Grandma Amira taught us a special curvature in the backrest that protects the spine." The businessman smiled. "Son, you know more about furniture than many professional salespeople." "That's because I'm part of the whole process. From selecting the wood to seeing the finished piece, Tyler replied simply. Daniel Thompson, another investor, pulled Thomas aside. Thomas, this is gold. It's not just a furniture factory. It's a cultural preservation center. The potential here goes far beyond what we imagined. Daniel, that's always been my vision. But only now, with your help and especially Tyler's, have I been able to make it a reality. At the end of the presentation, Jennifer announced, "Everyone, I'm pleased to inform you we already have orders for the next 6 months, and 3 companies from New York want annual contracts." The employees applauded, moved. Thomas stepped up to the microphone. "I want to thank everyone who made this possible, but most of all, I want to thank one very special person." He looked at Tyler. "If it weren't for this boy's courage and intelligence, today we'd be closing the company instead of celebrating its rebirth." Tyler turned red, hiding his face against his father's shoulder. "And I want to announce one more thing," Thomas continued. "We're creating an education fund for employees' children. Tyler will be the first recipient with a full scholarship, including language courses." Michael couldn't hold back his tears. "Mr. Thomas, you didn't have to..." "Michael, I did. Tyler didn't just save my company. He saved 50 families. It's the least I can do." Mrs. Amira approached Thomas. "Mr. Thomas, may I make a suggestion?" "Always, Mrs. Amira. In Lebanon, when someone saves another person's family, they become part of that family. Tyler and Michael are your family now." Thomas felt a lump in his throat. Since Sarah had passed, he'd felt alone, even with his daughters living in other cities. "Mrs. Amira, you already are my family." That evening, Thomas was in the office finishing some paperwork when Tyler appeared at the door. "Hi, Mr. Thomas. Dad's just finishing watering the plants." "Hi, Tyler. What did you think of today's presentation?" "It was amazing. People were really impressed with the furniture." Tyler walked over to the desk where Thomas was working. "Mr. Thomas, can I ask you something?" "Always. Why were you so sad when your wife passed away?" Thomas stopped writing. It was a question no one had ever asked so directly. "Tyler, Sarah was my best friend. We worked together, dreamed together, built all of this together. When she left, I felt like I lost not just my wife, but my life partner. But would she want you to give up everything you built together?" The simple question struck Thomas right in the heart. "No, Tyler. Sarah would be furious if she knew I almost sold the company." "So is she happy now that you're back to running the business with love?" Thomas smiled, feeling a peace he hadn't known in years. "Yes, Tyler. I'm sure she's happy. And what about you, Mr. Mitchell?" "What, Tyler? Are you happy now?" Thomas looked around the office, saw through the large windows the gardens tended by Michael, heard the sound of the machines working the night shift, smelled the wood he'd always loved. "Yes, Tyler, I'm happy. Very happy." 3 months later, Mitchell & Sons had paid off 60% of its debts and was hiring new employees. The Heritage line became a national success, with orders coming from all over the country. Tyler, now 12, split his time between school and his duties at the company. He had created his own quality control system and often made suggestions that surprised the adults. "Mr. Mitchell," Tyler said one Friday, "I have a new idea." "Go ahead, Tyler. What if we made special furniture for elderly people? Higher chairs for those who struggle to stand, tables with adjustable height." Jennifer, who was attending the weekly meeting, got excited. "Tyler, that's brilliant. There's a huge market for adapted furniture." Thomas jotted down the idea. "Let's look into this. Tyler, how do you come up with these things?" "I just watch people, Mr. Mitchell. Grandma Amira sometimes complains the chairs are too low. And at the hospital, when I took her for her appointment, I saw all the older folks struggling with regular furniture." Dr. Wilson, who now regularly attended strategy meetings, chimed in. "Thomas, Tyler has an incredible sense for the market. Maybe we should formalize his role." "What do you suggest?" "How about creating an official position for him? Junior Innovation Consultant?" Tyler's eyes widened. "I can have an official job?" "Of course," Thomas replied. "You've been working with us for months, just without the title." Michael walked in just then, carrying coffee for everyone. "Sorry to interrupt, Tyler, your mom says dinner's ready. Dad, Mr. Mitchell is giving me an official job at the company. Michael nearly dropped the tray. Seriously, Mr. Mitchell? Seriously, Michael. Tyler deserves it. But he's still a kid. Michael, Jennifer cut in. Tyler has better ideas than most adult executives. And besides, he already saved the company once. Mrs. Amira appeared at the door. Excuse me, but I overheard you talking. Can I share my thoughts? Always, Mrs. Amira, Thomas said. In Lebanon, special children have always been respected for their wisdom. Age doesn't matter when someone has a gift. And what's Tyler's gift, in your opinion? Dr. Wilson asked. Tyler sees solutions where others only see problems. And more importantly, he always thinks about what's best for everyone, not just himself. Thomas nodded in full agreement. That's exactly it, Mrs. Amira. Tyler has never suggested anything that only benefited him. He always thinks of the company, the employees, the customers. Tyler blushed at all the praise. I just say what I think. And that's exactly what we need, Thomas said. People who speak the truth without fear. 6 months later, Mitchell & Sons was completely restructured. The debts had been paid off, new employees hired, and the company had become a benchmark for quality furniture in the state. Tyler, now officially a junior innovation consultant, had developed 3 product lines: Heritage, durable furniture using traditional techniques; Accessibility, furniture adapted for seniors and people with special needs; and School, sturdy furniture for educational institutions. Tyler, Thomas said one morning, we've received an interesting proposal. What kind of proposal? A national magazine wants to do a story about the boy who saved a company. Would you be willing to give an interview? Tyler thought for a moment. I can, but I want it to be clear that it wasn't just me. It was Dad who taught me to always tell the truth, Grandma Amira who taught me Arabic, you who gave me the opportunity, and all the employees who worked together. Thomas smiled. That generosity was typical of Tyler. Of course, we'll make that clear. The article was published 2 months later, titled, The Boy Who Saved 50 Families. The response was overwhelming. Orders started pouring in from all over America. Schools, businesses, and hospitals wanted Mitchell & Sons furniture. But what mattered most to Thomas was a letter that arrived a few days after the publication. Dear Thomas, I'm Rebecca, your late wife Sarah's sister. I read the article about Tyler and cried with emotion. Sarah always said you had a special gift for seeing people's potential. I'm sure she's proud to see how you turned tragedy into opportunity for so many families. With love, Rebecca. Thomas kept the letter in his safe, alongside photos of Sarah and the company's first contracts. That afternoon, he called Tyler for a special talk. Tyler, I want to tell you something. What is it, Mr. Mitchell? When Sarah was alive, she always said our company only mattered if we could help others grow with us. She sounds like a wonderful person. She was. And do you know what else she used to say? What? That one day we'd find someone special who'd help us become better than we ever imagined. Tyler let the words sink in. Do you think she was talking about me? I'm absolutely certain she was. Tyler was silent for a few minutes. Mr. Mitchell, can I make you a promise? Of course. I'll study hard, learn everything I can, and one day I'll help this company grow even more, to honor Mrs. Sarah's memory and repay everything you've done for my family. Thomas felt his eyes well up. Tyler, you've already done more for this company and me than you realize. But I want to do more. I want people years from now to look at Mitchell & Sons and see not just beautiful furniture, but a story of how different people can work together to create something amazing. Thomas hugged the boy, feeling his heart finally healed. You know something, Tyler. What? You didn't just save a company. You saved an entire family, including me. Tyler smiled with that special wisdom, unique to extraordinary children. Sometimes people just need someone to believe in them to do incredible things. And so, an attempted fraud became the most beautiful story of unity, growth, and resilience the city of Columbus had ever seen. Thomas never felt alone again. Tyler became the son he never had, Michael the brother he'd always wanted, and Mrs. Amira, the mother who comforted him in hard times. The company grew, but it never lost its family essence. Every piece of furniture that left the factory carried not just the secret Lebanese mark, but the whole story of love, trust, and perseverance that turned a small workshop into a big family. 5 years later, Tyler, now 16, was preparing for his college entrance exams to study industrial engineering with a specialization in furniture design. "Mr. Mitchell," Tyler said during one of their last meetings before dedicating himself fully to his studies, "I have a dream." "What is it, Tyler?" "I want Mitchell & Sons to be known worldwide one day, not just for the furniture, but for the story. I want other kids to see they can make a difference no matter where they come from." Thomas looked at the young man who had saved his life and his company. "Tyler, I'm sure that dream will come true. And when it does, I'll be here, proud, watching you lead it all." "You'll always be the owner of the company, Mr. Mitchell." "No, Tyler. The company is already ours, all of ours. Yours, mine, your father's, Mrs. Amira's, every employee who believes in this family we've built." Tyler smiled, already with the maturity of someone who learned early that the best things in life happen when people come together for noble purposes. "Then let's keep making history together." "Forever, Tyler, forever." The end of the story. And what about you, dear listener? What did you think of this touching story? Do you believe Tyler made the right decisions when confronting the fraudulent investor? How would you have acted if you were in Thomas's place? Share your honest thoughts in the comments. Your input means so much to us. Don't forget to like and, most importantly, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss other heartwarming stories like this one. Thank you so much for joining us.